You're collecting different parts of your identities. You're leaving them in certain places and you're growing into new people at the same time. The identity of people being, global citizens is constantly growing.
Of course, you need to have the skills to back up whatever you're selling. But if you have the skills and you can't sell, not going to make any money.
I want to build a brand for people who feel most at home when they're far away from home. Let me acknowledge life as a string of experiences put together that ever come back.
Welcome to Where She Builds,
the podcast where two globetrotting solopreneurs share the real journey of building a life and business on the move.
I'm Shandy, an online personal trainer helping people feel strong anywhere in the world.
And I'm Anna, creator of Your Travel Friend Anna, a global community and go-to resource for those wanting to live a fulfilling and culturally curious life.
Thanks for being here.
Let's dive into this week's episode. Welcome back, everyone, to the Where She Builds podcast. I'm Anna, your travel friend Anna, joined always in person for the first time ever by Coach Shandy.
Amazing. It's so nice. It's so nice to I can touch you.
I know, high five. That was bad. Let's do it again. That was great. So if you didn't know, we record on YouTube as well. If you ever want to see video, and it's so weird to be looking into your eyes. I feel like I keep looking back to the camera or the computer. Where are you? So yeah, this is the first episode we've ever recorded, and it's episode 16, which go crazy for recording remotely.
Yeah, for 15 of those.
That's insane. Yeah. That's crazy.
But this is the one. We're
this
together.
Is a special treat. 16. I'm in the Netherlands in your home.
Yeah.
Just so gorgeous and so cute. And if you are watching on YouTube, hello, with this very blank wall, but we gotta do. We're just two girls.
We're just two girls recording a podcast. It's fine.
We only spent 30 minutes doing tech before this. Trying to figure
just to
out.
Go back to what we were doing.
trying to figure out how to do this. Yeah, so I've been here for 5 days now, and it has just been a genuine treat.
5 days already?
Well, I arrived on Sunday. If you count Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Time is flying.
Okay.
And I've gotten a lot of work done because these people actually work. So how has it been to have, am I your first Canadian except for your parents' roommate?
No, I've had a friend come and visit before, but it's different, right? Because she came to visit, she just finished school, finished university, and then she came here. We went to Ireland together for a few days, and then she stayed here, and it was kind of like I would do work here and there if she was sleeping or if we were doing whatever. But then it was more so being like tourists, going around different places, all that kind of stuff. So you're the first person that I've ever had here that is also working. Actually, that's not true because we've also had the couple that have stayed here, but it's just different. It's different. And it's so nice to have a Canadian here. Also, I want to bring up the fact that you brought some really amazing treats, and I'm still so happy about them. So a couple episodes ago, or even last episode even, you were talking about you asked me if I wanted anything from Canada. And I said I would really love some mini eggs because I was telling Pat about them before. And she brought crispers.
Oh, yeah.
And
I forgot about those. We hid them.
The crispers are like such a childhood Canadian thing, I feel like.
Yeah.
Like it was something I had at my grandma's house all the time. So even just eating it, I'm like, I could close my eyes and think I'm back at my grandma's house. It was so nice to have that. And then Pat got to try it because it's, like I said, a Canadian childhood thing.
It's just junk food. It's just, and also only ranch flavor. I think any Canadians listening will agree or question. I've never had. Maybe I tried a barbecue.
The barbecue one's nasty.
No. Ranch only. But they did taste different than I remembered. They've probably changed their formula since. It's probably gotta...
Yeah, I mean, they probably made it I don't know.
Attempted to be cleaner, but
healthier.
Healthier in quotations.
But the even more exciting thing was that Anna brought in her bag that she carried the whole way from Canada to here, a liter, and yes, I did not stutter here, a liter of maple syrup.
It is a little jug, and my bags were so heavy, and not like this isn't going to change really the weight of my bag because everything else is quite heavy as well.
It's a kilo of something that you're lugging around.
Yeah, it's pretty good, and it was just funny because I felt like I was getting my arm workout in, which is so perfect for Coach Shandy and continuing to train. So I just was like, just wait till I get home; it'll be a little bit lighter.
And speaking of arm workout,
yeah.
We got you to the gym this morning. Or should I say that you also got me to the gym this morning? And dare I say, you are super strong.
I thank you. Yes.
Yeah.
I should take a compliment.
Yes.
Thank you. Shandy people is strong.
No, you are strong.
But I've always felt like my body type is a CrossFit and or powerlifter body type.
Yeah.
Like I think I could grow muscle. I have a more athletic like torso.
Yeah.
I'm not a curvaceous person, and I've got thighs and a booty. And I've always
got
felt
strong. Yeah.
Yeah, like I've always felt like my legs are super strong, or I should have been a speed skater or something. But I've never explored strength training. So it was fun to play with weights today. And yes,
Yeah.
thanks to both of you. It's like the love-hate relationship. Get some heavier weights. And I'm like, no.
Well, because Anna was sitting there, we were doing an incline bench press, and Anna was sitting there, and I think you grabbed the 7 kilos first.
Which I'm still trying to like, at the time,
I think it was like, yeah,
max
14,
it
15
down.
pounds in each hand. And then she was just like throwing the weight around. So
I
I
don't
thought
think
like,
it's double though. I think it's 1.6. Kilos to pounds is 1.6.
I always get kilos and kilometers and miles confused because I think that's 2.2 then.
Yeah.
And then, no, it's 1.6.
Yeah, but if you think of how much you weigh, and I know how much I weigh in kilograms and pounds, and it's like half.
Yeah, I mean, no, I'm pretty sure it's 2.2.
Where's the math?
I'm pretty sure it's 2.2.
Anyway.
Because then, yeah, anyways.
No, you are right.
Yeah.
And, okay,
then
double.
1 kilometer is 1.6 miles because I'm running a 10 mile this weekend.
Dang, now I just did math of how much you lifted, and I'm like even more impressed because I was like, oh, it's like 30, and whew, it's not.
No, but going back, okay, so you were lifting 7 kilos and you were making it look way too easy. And that's my number one thing where I'm like, this girl's got to grab more weights. And then I said, okay, let's bump it up. And you bumped it up, I think, to 8 the next time.
Yeah.
And then I was like, that's way too easy for you still. And you're like, no, I can't do more. But then
7:05. Let's just like, it's like 7 a.m. to people.
But then we finished off with 10s, right?
9s. I did 9 kilograms.
But dare I say, I feel like you could probably do like 12s quite easily.
I think I could rep at 12 for sure. Yeah. I think I could. I can't do like a full set. It was helpful, honestly, to have what you were repping and what Pat was repping, because I was like, okay, Pat is clearly going to do more than me. Okay, what's Shandy doing? And then I was like, okay, what am I? I was like, I'll just half what Shandy's doing. Shandy was doing 20 kilos, guys. So watch out. Watch out. Watch out. It was very impressive. It was fun to hear the Coach Shandy voice in real life come out too.
It changes, eh?
It does change. I see a nap on my foreseeable future. Soon, I hope. And yeah, it's been just so lovely just going back to working together.
Yeah.
And it's been nice. People keep saying like, why are you here? What are you doing in the Netherlands? And I'm like, I'm just living here. And that's the thing I think people again have a misconception about. Just nomad life is a lot of days are just normal. Like one day, I guess it was yesterday, I went to the co-working with Pat, and you had clients, you stayed home, and then you were trained in the morning, and then we just came home and had dinner and just watched TV.
Yeah.
Did you watch Love is Blind?
Yeah.
The French one is very good. If you haven't watched it, I'm quite into the French episode. Stormy the dog.
Stormy the dog keeps coming back. That will come back in the episode at the end of October as well.
Yes, Stormy the dog.
Well, it's also nice to have, because I feel like we hold each other accountable a lot of the times with the podcast, but with other things too. Like we just check in text wise, but it's also different and nicer, I find, in person. Because even yesterday when I stayed back home, because I was training in the morning and then I came back here and I had client meetings and whatever, I got a text from you, and then I knew that you were going to be coming home, and I was like, I got to get my stuff together.
Asked her if she was awake because I thought she might be napping for too long. No, but there is this sense of like when someone's coming home, you know your routine's about to change, so you have a deadline to get things done. Yeah. And that's why co-livings are so fun. Or if you meet friends at a hostel, and you can kind of use their presence as like a pressure point. So it was good. And I also like, I have to get things done because I know we're going to leave. If I want a ride on the bike back home, I have to leave at this time so I can be home for my meeting. So it's this game of like back and forth and figuring it out. So it's been super fun. And last Chitty Chat, we talked about a pair of pants I bought from Lululemon, which are like the replacement, the black pants. And Shandy tried them on, folks.
And as soon as I go back to Canada, I'm going to have to buy a pair because damn, they're nice. So nice. They're like comfortable. They look like they're I mean, you can wear them to anywhere. You can wear them to the co-working. You can also wear them for a walk. You can wear them anywhere, and you just look more put together. But they feel like athletic wear. They're
They
so
do.
soft, they're so comfy, you can move in them. Because I love the look of jeans, but I hate wearing jeans, especially if I have to bike somewhere. I have Levi jeans and they're like high-waisted ones. Man, I feel so sick to my stomach when I'm biking because I'm like, I can't breathe. It's so
Do you mean the
terrible.
ones I'm sitting in like right now?
I can't do it.
I
Like,
can't
I
keep
really-
my knee up
Yeah.
like Shandy was trying
I'm just
before.
chilling here.
And I really want to, but I'm mobile enough to do so, but it's a little tight.
See,
Yeah.
I love the look of it, but also coming from an athletic background, I need to feel free in the clothes that I'm wearing. And that's why if you're watching on YouTube, I'm wearing a sweatshirt and also
But really
essentially
cute
sweatpants.
pants. No, I liked your pants too, and I think they're super fun. And the stripe is definitely in right now.
Thanks.
So,
Yeah, in Europe they are. Yeah, for sure.
yeah, it's just been like such a joy to see where you live, and this country is so interesting because, of course, they have like the stereotype is true. Everyone bikes, but I think what I shared with you is every age bikes and every
Yeah.
age is walking. You don't just see like, oh, the cool tech bro who's cycling to work. Like you see the kids going, you see the babies in the what's the front
The
basket?
buck feet.
Buck feet. I want a ride in a buck feet. How can I make that happen? What else is going on, Shandy? You've had some exciting call. It's been fun to like see you do your work alongside you as
Yeah.
well, and we've had some interesting like work discussions as well for both of our businesses and companies and how to streamline things. And Shandy has been offering me her paid chat GPT to brainstorm with it about ways that I can offer different services to people
Yeah.
who are finding me.
Yeah. Well, and I think we've kind of discussed this in the last 15 episodes too, like back and forth, is that Anna, you're trying to figure out what you're offering because you have so many good things to offer, but you need to, what we were talking about before, you need to hone in on what you're offering so that people know what you're offering, first of all, and then you can niche down in that way. And I think if we can really figure that out for you, it's going to be, I always have this analogy that you're pushing a huge rock up the hill right now. So you have to put in so much effort, but you're not seeing any return. But at some point, you're going to get to that top of that hill and things are just going to be so easy. So we need to get to that point where we make things easy for you. And that's, I mean, it takes time. It's not something, also, the people that are listening, like maybe they can also resonate with this, that the entrepreneurial journey is so not easy. If I think about it, I've had my business for 4 years. And the first, to be honest and completely transparent, the first 3 years, I've really struggled with finding clients and marketing and finding that place. And I've had a couple of different like other end jobs or freelancing things that I've been able to supplement my income with. But my actual coaching has just like within the last even 6 months has gone off really well.
It's hockey, like the hockey stick analogy of like being at the bottom and skyrocketing. I'm seeing it with you, and I proposed to you this interesting idea of like how much more work can you take on, and when do you cap your client load, and when do you grow your team, and when do you offer things that are more passive versus like more hands-on. And it's hard to know. It's a stopping point, I would think, in your brain, correct me if I'm wrong, that like you're like, okay, wait, where do I see this going in the next chapter? Like I can push income so much, and maybe I don't want to have more clients, and maybe I don't want to manage a team, manage people, and manage a more maybe some more technical items of it, and maybe you just want to keep it as it is, or maybe it's like, hey, let's try this chapter for the next bit. So it can be up and down.
I mean, honestly, the whole idea of, I mean, of course, selfishly, the reason why I started my business was so that I could travel and to be freely able to go back to Canada when I wanted to and everything. But the reason why I started the training business was because I see how much people get, I mean, the confidence people get from just being, even looking at you this morning, the fact that you went from like 7 kilos to 9 kilos and you saw in your eyes that, oh, you know what, I can actually lift that heavy. I think that is so cool. And if like, that's the thing where I'm thinking about, okay, if I want to grow my business, of course I want to reach more people that I can see that spark in their eyes, that they are able to lift things that they didn't think that they could ever lift. Like if I look, 15-year-old Shandy wouldn't think that she's bench pressing 20 kilos in each arm. Like but that's something that like, I mean, of course I'm coaching myself too, but then it's also, if I see my clients doing that, I'm like, damn, you guys are badass.
You had a client,
like, that's so cool.
And just like you shared that a client did a plank from 10 seconds to 50 seconds. That's all you shared with me. And I was like, that's 5 times the success, or that's 5 times the goal, which might seem so extreme, but like it isn't a lie that it's 5 times. And just, I mean, I know for myself, a minute plank is like definitely a stretch, and to start from 10 to 50 is so rewarding.
Crazy.
And I'm sure that person is just feeling like on top of the world thanks to your programming. And
Yeah.
getting to feel confident in themselves that like lifting that grocery bag, lifting the suitcase is not as complicated. Your pre-plan helped get me here with the suitcases and helped at the gym today for sure.
And I do want to back up a little bit because also like talking about wanting to expand my business or anything, but I think the very first person that I would hire, it would be Anna, because we were talking the other day at the co-working and you had so many good ideas of how to just, let's say, like improve my business in different ways that I would not have even fathomed. Like just making more things efficient because my setup is not super efficient because if we also listen back to a couple episodes before, like we're talking about, I still have a paper agenda, which is fine, but then there's so many things that because I'm such a paper and pen person, I don't think that there's capabilities online that I could do, and which is kind of funny because I do online training. So just the things that you mentioned in a half-hour conversation, I'm like, okay, I need Anna.
I can't ignore them though. And this is how it's such an interesting, because I'm trying to figure out, as I can't form a sentence right now, it's exactly my problem is I see a place where I can help you, but I'm also I'm struggling with how to verbalize that of where I fit into someone like you, where you're trying to expand, or you clearly have an offering or a niche, or you're a tech person who needs some help in your personal life. You need to get some things organized, or you have some side projects, or you have properties alongside your full-time job. Like I just can't help but see spaces to make things efficient and not to an extreme. I think too is maybe my sweet spot is I'm not trying to AI generate everything for you. And like, I only know what I know. I'm always open to learning more skills and learning skills together that just benefit the systems and enhance your systems and keeps you up to date. And there's so much beneficial communication, I suppose, when you get to work alongside someone and just have that moment to bounce idea. So it happens both ways. Of course, I'm here for you as a friend always, but there's definitely some I've got some ideas that it has to be, and just to speak openly, I can help you as much as a friend and talk about things. But if it too gets to a point of like, hey, can you actually do that? I have to hold myself accountable and be like, would I do this for someone I didn't know and wasn't friends with? I wouldn't. And so that's where we have to formalize the relationship. And
Yeah, absolutely.
see if we want to work together more, because I've already stuck her in here.
That's it. If we're listening back, let's say episode 30, 40.
Who knows?
It could be. It could happen.
It's been so lovely to be here. We'll probably record one full episode while we're here in another Chitty Chat, so watch on YouTube. But today's episode is really cool.
So amazing.
Because
so
we're chatting with Niv, who is one of Shandy's friends in the travel space, and I feel like has become one of my friends.
Yeah, of course.
Episode.
I'm so excited for you guys to listen. It was such an interesting conversation. So many things came out of it, and I feel like we left being like, okay, this is amazing. We're so excited about the opportunities that he has, his nomad life. He talks about so many other things in the episode. So excited. Listen to it.
Okay, great. Let's get into it.
We are excited to welcome our guest today. He's a solo traveling blogger and digital nomad who's been to over 40 countries. Through his adventures, he shares practical tips on remote work and solo travel on his blog, helping others navigate life on the road. Alongside that, he runs 2 remote businesses, a digital designed studio called Supercharged, and a travel apparel brand, NOMAD WILDHEART. When he's not off exploring, he splits his time between Toronto and New Delhi. Originally from India, he moved to Canada over a decade ago and has built a life that blends creativity, entrepreneurship, and adventure. Please welcome to the show, Niv. Welcome, Niv. Welcome.
Hello. Hello. It's such a pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me on board.
We are so happy to have you.
Yeah, that opener is nice. You've got a lot going on.
Yeah, I can't wait to dig into it. I'm like, where do we even start?
Oof. Yeah, I feel like it's so multifaceted, and just being a digital nomad allows you to explore and unlock different aspects of your life. And yeah, it's just such a solid base for you to, I guess, question the norm and kind of grow from there. And when you see that things are kind of quote unquote limitless, you're like, okay, there are way more, like there are a lot more things you can do than you originally thought. And yeah, it allows you to explore all of that.
Yeah,
Wonderful.
absolutely.
Where are you joining us from today? We like to always share where we are in the world because it changes all the time.
So I am back in Canada. So this is after a 10-month long trip. I managed to come here. So yes, back home in
Amazing.
Toronto. I think I just love spending my summers over here. And I think that's one thing about the life I've designed is Yeah, can I spend all my summers in Canada and like when it gets cold, can I run away? Because I'm not a fan of the winter, but the summers over
Fair.
here, completely unbeatable. I don't think there's anything better than a Canadian summer.
I am very much this summer I spent home again as well. I'm in Calgary right now, but I just came back from a 2-month, like 2.5 month trip in British Columbia, and I think next year I'm repeating the exact same thing because it's just so beautiful and there's water and there's nature and there's so much to do. So yeah, and it gets hot.
Yeah.
People don't believe it gets warm in Canada in the
I
summer,
know.
but it gets hot.
Yeah, when I came back to the Netherlands this time, people are like, "Oh, so how was your time in Canada?" Because I was there in July, and I was like, "Oh, it was nice. It was finally warm because we usually go when it's in the winter." And they're like, "Oh, so does it get like what temperature? 10, 15 degrees?" I was like, "No, it gets like 30 degrees. It gets hot here."
I'm like laughing louder inside because being born and raised in New Delhi, I was like, that's nothing. Like 30 is a good day. It's like really calm and a chill and a pleasant day for us. Like
Yeah.
45 is a hot day. So I was like, you know what? This is kind of okay. And every time I say that, all my Canadian friends are like, what the hell are you talking about? What's wrong with you? Well, they just give me this weird look. And I was like,
Yeah.
I like this. I'm really happy with this. Yeah.
How do you survive 45 degrees? Like, do you go outside then, or are you just inside the whole time?
Honestly, you're just inside the whole time. You're just in air conditioned places. It's
Fair.
hard to survive. I'm not saying 45 is easy.
No.
But again, we're used to managing that, you know. I
Okay.
think 30 is awesome. Yeah, I think
Your
my
45 is our 30.
Yeah.
yes,
I
exactly.
can't handle
That's exactly
30,
what it
so.
is. Yeah, yeah. Mhm.
I was just in Ontario at the end of July too, and it was like 35, so humid. The humidity for me is uncomfortable. It's not something I've experienced a lot of. So that's like, yeah, when you feel sticky. I
Yeah.
gotta get used to that. It's gonna take a long time.
Yeah, that's a different thing. I was speaking to a friend about that yesterday, and he's like, "It's the humidity that gets to me." And I was like,
Yeah.
I could see that. You know what? That's a fair complaint.
Yeah.
You gotta come out to
Yeah.
the West and experience dry Alberta, and then you'll go back and you'll feel it. It's
Yeah,
different.
I was there last year, but also like it was just also part of this rainy Vancouver trip, and I was like, okay, I see both ends of it, but I think I still prefer a rainy Vancouver over a, let's say, what's it called, like a really cold and snowy Toronto.
Fair.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I get that.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, you obviously have connections to Canada as you're there right now, but tell us a little bit about your background, where you're from originally, where you call yourself a local or feel attached to, and what life was like before you started traveling.
Yeah, okay, so let's start at the beginning. I was born and raised in New Delhi, India, and then I think when I was 11 years old, I went to a boarding school in the foothills of the Himalayas. So it was just this
Wow.
nice scenic place away from the city. It was just like
Wow.
500 boys trapped in like this one 70-acre, whatever, playground of sorts. So I spent
Wow.
6 years of my life there. And when I was 18, that's around when I guess that's high school graduation. I decided to move to Montreal for my studies. So I lived there for 3 years, finished my university there, and then moved to Toronto for work. And worked in Toronto for about 5 years. Then I think COVID kicked in. And yeah, right when COVID was kind of ending, I was like, hey, like I've got this amazing remote business I've built. Let's take it on the road and just travel all over. So I think
Wow.
location wise, that's been, I guess, my life trajectory. Places I've lived, I can call that I have called home at some point in time. And yeah, I think while I've been traveling for the last 4 years, Toronto has still been my base. So I'm back here almost I mean, definitely every summer, and maybe like 1 or 2 winters, whenever
Wow.
I can squeeze it in.
So, what made you choose Canada to study in out of all the countries in the world?
A really good question. So I don't think it was specific to Canada. I think I'd applied to the States, I'd applied to Hong Kong, Singapore, and Canada. So it was 4 different countries. And I was prioritizing my education, what I wanted to study. So I got into a program that I really wanted to study in Canada. And I was like, hey, this really aligns with my goals and what I want to build in the future. So I just pretty much picked the university I wanted to go to. And I was like, I don't care where in the world it is. So yeah, happen to be in Canada and I happen to like it here. So check, check.
Can you tell us
Amazing.
what degree you got again? Because I honestly, it slipped my mind, but it was the coolest thing. The minor, I believe you got.
So I got a major in computer science and I got 2 minors, one in math and one in cognitive science.
Yes,
Right.
yes. This is what we
Cognitive
did in
science was a
school.
lot of fun. I think
Yeah.
like it was I think comp sci and math could get really dry and monotonous doing it over and over again, but calc sci was so much fun because it was a blend of 5 different subjects all coming together. So like across linguistics, philosophy, psychology, computer
Wow.
science, and and neuroscience. Yeah, these 5 coming together. So you're taking classes with 5 different departments, and I
Wow.
don't know, it's so versatile. It just allows you to explore so much more and just think in so many different dimensions. And I absolutely love that.
Yeah. I feel like those things in my mind don't go together, but then if you put them together, they create such a niche thing, you know?
Correct, especially in today's AI world, because like if you think about how
Yeah.
AI is created, it's a lot of algorithms, it's about linguistics, natural language processing. There's this whole aspect of neuroscience to actually think about what intelligence is. And then philosophically, we're seeing so many questions around AI. So like it's so funny because 10 years down, now I'm seeing like such a strong value for that cognitive science minor I did because I was like, that is literally what the world is talking about. So when I was thinking about it, I was like, it doesn't really make sense how they come together, but you're seeing it in action today in front of your own eyes.
Wow.
Very cool.
Super,
Great.
super cool.
And that
Amazing.
was
I
like
don't even
such a
know.
nerdy rant, and I was like, you
I
know what?
know.
No,
This is what it's
I
all
love
about.
it. I love
We're
it.
digesting what this I feel like when we learn new skills, both Shandy and I, people like present these ideas. Again, things that this cognitive science world is just not in my forefront day to day. So when I hear new things or people talk about economics or politics or investing, I'm like, because it's just not my wheelhouse. Whereas
Yeah.
obviously travel is something that I'm used to hearing about. So anyway, if we
Mhm.
lift a little, we're just digesting what you had to say. But it's very cool. So you went to Canada, you got your degree here, and then you decided to start traveling. But I think there was a little bit something that we want to touch on is when you come to university in Canada, you were on a student visa, and then what was that process like after being in Canada for 4 to 5 years? What was your visa process like, and in terms of residency, how did that work out for you wanting to stay in Canada to work?
I arrived in Canada on a student visa. I was on my student visa for 3 years till I graduated. Then I was on a temporary resident visa, I believe. Yeah, so that was another 3 years. Sorry, yeah. Wait. Student visa for 3 years. God, I've been through so much
So many
paperwork.
visas.
Yeah, exactly.
I get
And
it.
especially because like up until last day, I was on my Indian passport. So every time I had to travel, I had to fill up so many forms for visas. And oof, like the Canadian passport just seems like a cheat code, just going anywhere. But yeah, back to the original question. It's I think 3 years student visa, 3 years work visa, then 3 years on my permanent residency. And then there was this 1 year period where I'd applied for my citizenship and I was just waiting for that to come in. So I think a grand total of 10 years to, I guess, get to where
Wow.
I am right now. And I've been 1 year on my citizenship now.
That's
Woo!
incredible.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
Yes,
what,
congrats.
11,
That's
12
so
years in
exciting.
Canada now. Yeah. Yeah.
It's really fun to hear other people's perspectives like coming into Canada because I mean, like Anne and I were very lucky to be born in Canada, but now I have also the experience from similar to you, Niv, that I'm going to a different country. I live in a different country now. And I also have to go through all the processes and everything. And at some point, there are potentials that I might have to give up my Canadian passport for my Dutch passport. Or, I mean, there is a stipulation that I can have both. But then what was that experience for you? Were you able to keep both passports? Were you able to, or did you choose? Was the decision hard?
So the Indian government doesn't allow you to have 2 passports. So you have to just have your Indian. So I had to renounce my citizenship. But it was kind of like I had an Indian passport and a Canadian residence. I basically had to just kind of swap the 2 statuses. So I
Okay.
got my Canadian passport. I had to renounce my Indian citizenship, and then I had to apply for an overseas Indian citizenship, which basically is like if you have Indian origins, you're not really a citizen, but you're kind of treated like they still acknowledge you as part of your country, so you can walk in, walk out anytime. You just can't vote, and you can't, I guess, run for office and own agricultural land. I think these are
Uh-huh.
3 stipulations or something. And I was like, you know what?
Okay.
Fine. If that's what it is, that's fine. I don't plan
No
to be in
farming for you.
politics. Yeah. Yeah. I was like, my farmer dream's gone out of my window. And what else? Yeah, voting. But I was like, you know what? If I'm not going to be spending that much time in India, should I be able to vote? Like, should my vote impact? Like, I get it. That's one thing I had to step away from. But Yep, that's fine. I'm looking at my long-term trade-off, and yeah, I feel like
Yeah.
this is a better alignment for what I want in my life.
Yeah. I mean, from a logical standpoint, with the extra amount of countries that you can visit with a Canadian passport, it makes sense. But
Mhm,
from
mhm.
an emotional standpoint, was it difficult to give it up? Like, do you feel like you lost a part of identity? I know this is getting a bit deep, but I also like I have those kind of feelings too when it comes to these things. So I'm curious where you stand.
No, I think the way you phrase your question really reflects a lot of my thought process, because I think in my head I was like, it's inevitable. This is like the path I want to go down. And I got my request to study to give my Canadian citizenship exam when I was in India visiting my parents. So I was studying for it. And while I was studying for it, like, sure, it was a really like tough exam because I'm not a history fan, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very happy with my like science and philosophy kind of stuff and psychology,
Yeah.
but history, I was like, this isn't for me. So I was studying for all of that, and like at late hours of the night, and a lot of the thoughts in my head were just coming closer to the exam date. So I'm like, oh my god, this is real. I'm taking this step, and because of that, I'm actually cutting off. Uh, I guess a part of my, a set of my roots. So not all of them,
Yeah.
but again, like something that does tie me strongly to my country of birth. I am cutting that off. So again, that was a little bit heavy, and there were times I was just like sitting and I was like, I can't study because it is weighing quite heavily on my mind. And but if I look at it long term, I was like, it's still just a piece of paper that really doesn't cut my emotions and the way I feel about something.
Doesn't cut your childhood, your traditions, your culture,
Yeah.
everything, the language that you know. It's all like, and also, I just want to give you probably know Canadian history better than I do
Honestly,
because I
100%.
honestly think anyone who has had to take the Canadian citizenship test has the best history about our country because they teach it very different across the country. And we don't have history. I didn't grow up with history as a subject. I feel you on that, but I don't think you gave anything up. And there's this concept that I learned, and I wish I knew. She did a TED talk about it, and she was someone who grew up in an African country, had grown up in the UK, and was living in New York, something like this. And she's like, I'm not from these places. She described herself as a local of them. So I find a split identity even just in Canada because people say, where are you from? And I was born in Calgary. A lot of my life was in Calgary, but I did my early adult years in Vancouver. So I feel very attached to Vancouver. So I describe
Mhm.
myself as a local of both places. So for you, I definitely think it rings true that you're a local of New Delhi and also Toronto. Maybe, wait, McGill's in Montreal? Yes.
Yes. Hmm.
Yes. Maybe Montreal too, you're a local of. See, I don't even know Canadian geography. But I think rephrasing it, you didn't lose anything. You're just adding to it. And yeah, you've got both
Oh yeah,
now.
100%. It's just like, you're collecting different parts of your identities. You're leaving them in certain places and you're
Yeah.
going into new people at the same time. It's like chapters in life. And yeah, I guess there was this big chapter where India was my primary identity. And now it's kind of like I've got this dual identity going on where like my roots are in one place and I keep visiting India so often. But Canada is also the home I've built myself as an adult, because up until I was 18, I was in India. That's all I've known till I was, well, I guess legally a kid. And then when I was legally an adult, Canada's been everything I've only known. So yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's it's been kind of interesting, and it also draws to the fact that everyone's journey is so unique. One quote that keeps going through my head is, "You never brush your teeth the same way twice." That applies to
Mm.
all humans, where it's
Mhm.
like all of our journeys are so unique in that sense that your journey will never be mine, and my journey will never be yours. That's wonderful. That's what makes it so special. So everyone's human story is so different.
I
Yeah,
like
I
that. I
love
like
that.
that
I've never heard
concept.
that before. Yeah, I love that. Then it makes you appreciate people a lot more too, right? That you can, because I mean, if you're walking down the street, lots of times you're busy in your own head, you're thinking about things going on in your life. But I think lots of times forget that the people across from us are also doing the same thing. They're also going through things, they're also seeing things differently and different background, different upbringing, different places of living. And it's also a nice way to bond over that too, because we're all living differently, but in our local areas or whatever, like we're living together. So it's quite a beautiful thing to think about it that way.
True. I feel like the way you said it, like in my head, it was kind of going through in the form of, you are special, but you're not that special, because everyone is special in their own
Yeah,
unique way.
exactly.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
well, the funny part is like the first realization I had of this quote of, you don't brush your teeth the same way twice was when I went on an exchange program to the States when I was, I think, 15 years old. And I think at that point I was more of an introvert. And that was my, I guess, first experience of studying abroad. And actually that is what did influence me to come to Canada. Because I was like, hey, I have studied abroad in the States for about 2 years and I could see myself studying abroad and building a life somewhere. So when I was there, it's like it really helped me come out of my shell because there was this one day, I think like halfway through the program, and I was like, I will never again be standing on this lake with these people all around me. I don't know when I'm going to see them next. And I was like, you know what? Let
Mhm.
me make the most of this. Let me come out of my shell a little bit more. Let me acknowledge life as, a string of experiences put together that may never come back. And that really ties into the aspect of identity and also what I
Yeah.
spoke about earlier about like how everyone's journey is so unique and how it, ties into them being a human, their identity and everyone around them and where they've been and telling their whole tale of human life.
Yeah,
Mhm.
definitely. It's like the magic of travel because you're in that place with those people, and the serendipity of people coming together is so unique. Shandy and I's meeting we always talk about is very unique. We're two Alberta girls who met in Montenegro by chance. So
Wait, tell me about that story. I want to hear that.
you got to go back and listen to previous episodes of the podcast, Niv. This is about you.
Yes. Okay.
Long story
But-
short, we were both asked to speak at a conference in Montenegro, and I was flabbergasted that there was not only another female Canadian, and one who grew up about 2 hours from me in Alberta. So, and here
Small
we
world.
are. Here we are hosting this podcast together
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
That
you
is
gotta go
such a
back and
small world.
listen.
Yeah. I will check it out. I am so curious about this story now.
Yes, of course.
Where in Montenegro was this?
Do you want to
Um,
say it, Shandy, or should I try?
Is it Nikšik? Nikšik?
Yeah, it's like
Ooh, okay.
Nikšik. It's
Nikšik?
in the my friends are all gonna. I think in the northeast part, I believe, more inside of the country, not on the coastline. Yeah. So
Okay.
yeah.
So I went to Montenegro, I think 2 years ago, and I was like, damn, this is such a hidden gem. I don't
It's
think anyone outside of
beautiful.
Europe really like kind of
Why
knows
do you think
about
I'm
it.
going soon again?
Oh, have the best time.
I will. Okay, we're gonna
Yeah.
circle back. You said that you were in Toronto working with your businesses. We need to touch base on those because they are obviously a huge component of your travel aspect of life because they're an income source for you to continue traveling. And we want to break down, you have two businesses. You have your Supercharged Studio, which we'd love to hear about. What is that exactly? What does that mean? What does your creative design studio mean? And then your lovely shirts for friends listening on YouTube. They can see it, your Nomad WildHeart shirt. So maybe we'll dive into the first one, which I think is a longer project for you, something you started in Canada and then have taken remotely. So tell us about it.
So yeah, Supercharged Studio is a design agency. It's a design studio that is designed and built for founders who are just working on something really awesome. So like the way I've always looked at Supercharged is I want to build this platform for other people to come explore their ideas, and I want to help bring it to life with my design skill set. We specialize in app design, brand design, and website design. So we tend to usually work with startups. I'd say like 70 to 75% of our portfolio is startups because what we really like doing is helping companies with their really early stage products or services and help bring them to life. And we like working with people who haven't really worked with a designer before because we want to set an excellent standard for design. We want to make sure they've got everything they need to be successful for the next, like, let's say 2+ years. And how we kind of define success is the day they say, hey, we don't need you because we're ready to hire someone full time. I was like, that's awesome. Like, we want to get you to that stage. So we always try to position ourselves as someone's, stand-in design co-founder or their, fractional chief design officer, helping them across. I guess in general, creative technology is like how I've started positioning ourselves now because there's so much going on. And in the past year, we've been experimenting with technologies like augmented reality, also AI art. We're just trying to see like how we can use technology to help elevate people's, elevate brands, elevate identities, elevate, apps, services, businesses who are willing to invest that on in an early stage.
Both of us are still also like, it's going over
Yeah.
our heads because the
We're
technology
digesting it.
aspect of things, we are not developers. I can barely edit this podcast. So But it sounds very cool. So you say we a lot. Is there a team behind you? Are you solo running this? And I'm very curious if you have a team, if they're remote as well.
Yes, so everyone is remote. I don't know if I'd planned this to really be a team thing or not, because the whole idea for this was right before COVID, and that's when I got my permanent residency in Canada. And at that point, I think I just surprised my parents on a trip back home because they didn't know I got my residency. And I was like, let me just surprise, like, hey, I landed. Because I think that was this period of maybe like 6 to 12 months or something where I couldn't travel because I was waiting for my documents. So when they came to, I didn't tell my parents. I was like, let me just surprise them on a trip home. And I surprised them. And then I was just having this conversation with, I think either my mom or my dad. We were just walking in the park. And it was like, hey, Niv, you've gone to this next stage of life. Do you have anything planned next? Like, no pressure. We're just curious. We're just asking. Like, it wasn't like, okay,
parent
son, what,
question.
yeah.
What are you
No, but it was
doing?
done in a very nice way. Yeah, it's just like, do you have anything planned? Do you just want to kick back and relax? Like, again, I just want to hear where your head's at now because, like, this is so cool for
Nice.
you. Like, you just want to, like, sit in this moment, celebrate it. And I was like, you know what? Good question. Like, let me think about it. And hey, so, like, I want to eventually design a life where, let's say, I am traveling for maybe 3 months of the year, spending 3 months in India, spending 6 months in Canada. I want to be someone who has my business, who has like their own business. And yeah, this is something I want, 10 years down the line. And then I just stopped dead in my tracks and I was like, why 10 years down the line? Like, can I get it done in 2? So
Wow.
at that point in time, I just like, it was one of those moments I just stopped walking. And I said, you know what? I'm going to give myself a 1 year deadline because now I'm legally eligible to start a company in Canada. So within 1 year, can I have launched my company? And I
Wow.
did not know what it was going to be. So I think the original dream was to basically quit my job and just do the traditional backpacker thing by like, packing everything in a bag, going to Southeast Asia for 4 months. And I was like, I'll jump onto like all the Fivers and Upworks and, just find ways to make money online. I don't care about money. I was just like, let me see what I could do. It's going to be fun. If not, I'm going to travel off my savings. And I was like, I'll just freelance while doing it. Like I've heard of the concept of a digital nomad. People have been doing this. Sure, let me go ahead. But COVID kicked in. No one knows what the world's going to be like. I was just working really happily in my full-time job. I was noticing all my coworkers were extra stressed. And me as a single guy living in this, whatever, 1-bedroom apartment, I didn't have too much stress because everyone else is managing families, etc. And I was just like, yo, I've got so much time on my hands. I was just realizing like everyone's productivity was like significantly lower than mine. And I was like, you know what? Let me start picking up clients on the side. My dream was still to work independently. Let me start getting clients on the side. Like even this like backpacking trip of Southeast Asia is not going to work out. Screw it. Like that's not going to stop me from, at least building a business. So I started getting clients on the side. I could still be on track for like my 1 year deadline of like getting my job and just starting something. Coming back to the original question, is this me or is this just more people? That kind of stems from me wanting to position myself either as a freelancer or a studio. Because as a freelancer, I am my brand. Versus as a studio, I can build something bigger than me. And while I was, I guess, working with a couple of clients and while I was, I guess, networking online with people, I came across this logo designer who was just doing amazing logo work, a lot better than I was. Because my background's in, app design, website design. I can do logo design, but this guy was doing it at a level I've never seen before. And his rates were like much cheaper than mine. So I was like, hey, why don't you come work for me or work with me? Let's partner up on the next project. You deliver a logo much better than I can. And then we'll get into business because I have these clients that you can work with. And at that point, this junior in university messaged me being, hey, could you review my portfolio? And I was like, yeah, let me review it. I was like, hey, this is excellent. I feel like anyone would be, it would be an honor for anyone to interview you. Your work's that good. And he's like, okay, great. So why don't you hire me? And I was like, huh, smart,
Ooh.
smart. I walked
Okay,
into
we
this
like
trap
his
so easily.
energy.
Yeah, yeah. And now he's my lead designer, so he's still working with me, and it's amazing. When these two people kind of joined me on my journey, I was like, hey, it's not fair for this to be the Niv show. I was like, this has to be bigger than me. This has to be a brand that other people can kind of, leverage and live. And this brand represents more than what I can contribute to it. Everyone's on contract, including myself, I guess, because I'm not working full time on this. I'm working in ebbs and flows whenever projects come in, etc. So Supercharged Studio is bigger than me. We're about, I think, 15-ish people.
Whoa.
Plus two, I think. Yeah. And it also depends on the season, because if sometimes we're working more on app projects, then I'm really not using much of the brand team. But sometimes we're
Right.
working on like all projects, I'm using my whole team. Right
Right.
now, projects are a little bit on the slower end, so I'm working heavily with my marketing and sales team. So I managed to grow that this summer. So again, it's the focus is
Wow.
constantly shifting because it's different contractors. I like to use the analogy of us being something like the Avengers. When that phone call comes, I was like, yo, Avengers assemble, let's bring us together to build something bigger and better than us.
Is that why it's called Supercharged?
Funny. Actually, no, but that's like a good way to go about it. Supercharged was actually inspired by a smoothie. I'm forgetting. I think it was like at a mall or just like one of those random locations. And I just saw at the smoothie stall, one of them just had in their copy that this smoothie is supercharged with blueberries and nutrients. And I was like, that is so cool. I want people to say that our design is supercharged by someone who did something awesome. Let me make that part of my like freelancer brand. So it was like, hey, I'm Niv and I supercharge websites, apps, and brands. While I'm transitioning to a studio, let me cut all of that off and keep supercharged as the name. And I've always loved it. And yep,
Yeah.
I've been running with it for 5 years now, I guess. Yeah.
Wow.
Very cool.
Wow.
I like that
Amazing.
it's SNS for me. I don't know. It's very satisfying Supercharged Studio as well. So I think it's really cool. And thank you for sharing so much about your team. It's really
Yeah.
nice to hear because a lot of nomads have businesses, but I think it's unclear at times what size of business that is. It sounds like for you, projects ebb and flow a lot, which makes sense. It's very project-based work. You build an app, you may exit, or they want to take it in-house to continue to do it because if they're a startup, they're at that point. You also have shifted. So this is a service-based business, obviously. And then this year, am I correct? Or late last year, you decided to dive into product-based business and get your swag out. How is it to shift to create your brand and your clothing line?
That has been really cool. So that was, I think, end of Jan, early Feb when this happened. Yeah, for me, I've always looked at Supercharged as I mentioned, a platform for ideas to grow and for like a lot of different companies to come out of. And that includes me. When I've got an idea, I'm going to really use Supercharged as a platform to build that. And I think for the past even 2 years, I think it's time for me to launch my second business. It's time. But I never did. And I think around I was on this big world tour again. And I think this time I was in Bali and I was super inspired. At that point, I was also 29 and a half. So the big 30 was coming up. And I was like,
Ooh.
man, that milestone, that decade is coming up. Yeah. And I was like, that's really motivating. Why the hell have I not started my second business till now? And I think this was my last night in Bali. And I think it was 11 o'clock and I still hadn't had dinner. I was like, let me go to this place I went to 2 nights before. I know it's open late. I know they've got food. It's kind of quiet. It's going to be everything I need for my last night in Bali. I went there and I was like, damn, this place obviously turned into a club. This is not what I expected. Screw it. They don't have food. Let me just get a beer. So I just got a beer and I was just like sitting there. I was like, this is not what I expected. Yeah. I'm just sitting there, and this guy comes and sits down next to me, and we just strike up a conversation. And he was Indonesian, and he was working with a lot of foreign investors, especially for real estate, etc. Tell me more about it. And then as the conversation goes on, he tells me he's actually a lawyer and he's got a law practice on the side. And
Whoa.
then he tells
Casual.
me, tells me he also runs a social media agency on the side.
Whoa, casual.
And that's not it. Then also he's got an education foundation that he runs. And I was like, yeah. This is not even
do
really,
less.
yeah. And then after that, he tells me he's 21.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just have to I have to back up. And this is nothing. I don't know this person. You obviously are just introducing them into me. I think he has what we describe on our podcast as big ball energy. He is speaking so confidently about all these projects he's pursuing. But my question is, how progressive are they actually? How he has a social media agency, maybe he has one client, but he calls it an agency, right? And maybe he does real estate. Yeah, he sells a house once or twice a year. Yeah, he can practice law, but isn't actively practicing law. So I find people who speak like that, again, don't know the person. He sounds great at 21. He's ambitious. but it just gives me, you are able to sell yourself, you are able to talk confidently about your businesses, but then I'm like, but really what's happening behind the scenes? Because I don't know, something.
Yeah, I mean, like in a way though, those are the two things that you need in order to be a somewhat successful business. Of course, you need to have the skills to back up whatever you're selling, but if you have the skills and you can't sell, you're not going to make any money, right?
No,
so if you have that big ball energy and you can sell yourself, those skills can come later, or you can hire them out. Like if you're good at selling to people, you are good.
For sure. Maybe I should let you finish the story, but
yeah, sorry.
I don't know. I get a bit triggered by it because I hear it a lot in the nomadic world. Like, oh yeah, I have this and this. And I personally am trying to describe what I do for work even, but I just find it's a lot, like that's 4 very different industries to be diving into as well. So anyway, I don't know why I had to talk about that, but it just feels like at 21, why are we comparing ourselves to him? What I hear is someone who's experimenting with what they want to do for work at 21 and wanting to dive into different industries because they have multiple skill sets, and it's fantastic. But maybe finish the story.
Yeah. Then we can digress.
What happened at the end of the night?
After your beer?
But you're absolutely right in that sense, because again, there's so many philosophies like on the lines of like, are you a jack of all trades? Or are you just doing one thing really well? Or are you exploring? I was just super inspired by this post. I don't know if he's successful in these ventures or not, but the fact that he's tried them, what's stopping me from trying my second one? Like I've run Supercharged for about 4 years now. I am in a very, I guess, comfortable / happy place with my business, and I still have the ability and risk tolerance to work on something else. I usually tend to manage maybe like 3 to 5 clients at a time, but anytime I feel like I have capacity for another client, I try to treat myself as one of them.
Yes.
So I was in that spot. I was like, I've always had the motivation, and in the past, I guess, year and a half, I've had the time and energy to start working on something else, because the more you do something, the easier it gets. And the same it's with running a studio. I am super motivated to kind of start something next. So at that point, I put, again, more pressure on myself. I'm going to give myself a 1-year deadline to start a company. This time, I'm going to give myself a 1-week deadline to actually come up with an idea. So the next day, I was flying to Malaysia. And all I did was I took a notebook, I took a pen, and I said, hey, I'm just going to sit down on this beach and I'm just going to start penning down ideas of what I could do, you know? I think because I just recently crossed borders, I had my passport on me naturally. And something really cool about my passport is my passport cover. It was a gift given to me by 3 of my really close friends. And it's one of those custom covers, which is this nice green leather Swedish kind of feel to it. But it's got my initials engraved on it, as well as a thunderbolt, which is the logo of Supercharged. And that made me think, this is so true to the identity of the traveler. And the first idea I had was, could I start manufacturing passport cases that way, which has a cool brand to it? So that was the idea. And I was like, let me come up with names. Let me come up with like who we're targeting. Let me come up with the philosophy. And then later that evening, I came home from the beach. Let me just tap into my designer skill set. I know the audience for travel really well. I took my brand design skill set and I started whipping up this brand concept. And I was like, okay, cool. I have an idea for what this brand needs to be. Let me find passport cover mock-ups to place and digitally see what the brand looks like. And as I started to do that, scrolling through these different mock-up sites, t-shirts kept popping up. And I was like, wait. And I just put this brand on like a t-shirt and a hoodie. This brand is way too cool to just be a passport cover. I was like, there's so much more we can do with this. The whole brand is turning into something which really stands for this identity of a traveler that I won't say it hasn't existed, but it's a space that is yet to develop a lot more. I mean, as we all know, it's growing as an industry, but by 2027, it's going to hit, I think, it's going to be a $1 trillion industry by 2027. And people are just traveling more. They're taking more vacation. People are backpacking for longer. People are turning into digital nomads. Immigration's always on the rise. There are more expats around. So either way, like the identity of people being, global citizens is constantly growing. And then the way I started describing it is, I want to build a brand for people who feel most at home when they're far away from home. This is all panning out to be something that I could really dive into. And then I started taking a deeper look. On one end, you had, cheesy, cheap souvenirs. But on the other end, there were just like highly functional technical gear like Patagonia and North Face. But there was nothing really in between where travel is looked at as a lifestyle. So it's either super functional or it's looking at a destination. There's nothing that really talks about the journey. in like a lifestyle aspect. And it was kind of really hard to come across brands. I want to start developing for people whose identity is being a traveler, those who are really nomadic, people who feel at home when they're far away from home. And as I started mocking things up, I was like, damn, this is looking really, really cool. And the next month, I was in Vietnam and I was at a Nomad conference and I was speaking to people about this idea. And I said, wait, this really has legs to it. So the first thing I did was I bought a plain black t-shirt. I got the logo printed on it. I got two of my new friends who I made, and I was like, let's just get a photo shoot done. And the photos came out so well, and I started showing people, and the reactions were really good. And I said, hey, with like a nomadic crowd of 200 people, let me start building a wait list. I have people who have intent and interest in my product. As the months passed, when I got back home to India, I spent about a month and a half there to be like, okay, let me find the right supplier, the material that I want, the kind of like print that I want, etc., to build this signature tee to kind of kick off. And then after that, I went on this thing called Nomad Cruise, which is amazing. We could dive into that later. So I was there with a bunch of like, I think 300 nomads and I was like, this is like an amazing place to soft launch this. And I think from that, it's constantly been growing slowly and surely. And right now we're in a position where I feel like the product is ready. We've got our stock sitting. We're just waiting for our trade licenses to kick in, and our wait list is still building up. Then we'll just have to put it up on, let's say, figure out our Shopify store and be like, hey, it's out there. So yeah, we're just waiting for that moment. So like, that's a summary of like the story of, a true nomadic product that was brought up with like a true nomadic journey.
Amazing. Wow.
Very
Again,
cool.
digesting. That's amazing though. So you have a lot of stuff going on, I feel like, between travel and with Supercharged and with Nomad WildHeart.
We didn't even mention his travel blog as well. You have a very robust travel blog, which we don't even have time to dive into.
But how do you juggle everything? Like, I mean, obviously, apart from staying up, you told us before the podcast started that you stayed up till 6 a.m. to work. But how do you do it? How do you organize everything?
First thing, I don't advocate for staying up late and working late. Usually I'm a night owl. Like I wake up really late. That is just my thing. I think I woke up around 11:30 this morning. No, wait, 12:30. No. So I do get like a good amount of sleep sometimes.
You're a night owl.
But I am a night owl, yeah. So I'm really happy working late, etc. But how do I manage all of this? A lot of people think it's a lot, but I don't really see it as a lot because Supercharged for me is just the equivalent of someone's full-time job that way. If I look at traveling, that is just a lifestyle that I've always wanted. I find it so energizing. I don't find it taxing. So how are you managing life and work? No, this is the life I want to live. I don't think it's a problem. Like it doesn't take energy out of me. It energizes me more. So like my travels and working with Supercharged is the equivalent of someone living their normal life. I feel like that's my norm. And because I've been doing it for 4 years, as I mentioned, I was like, I have the capacity to do something more. So now throwing Supercharged on it is the equivalent of having, that 5 to 9 that people have in addition to that 9 to 5.
Right.
So
kind of like a passion project.
Correct. Yeah. Just like anyone else with a full-time job has a passion project going on. That's the way I'm looking at Nomad WildHeart in its current stage right now, growing into something bigger. This is the side business to my main business. I still feel like I do have capacity to do like more things in life. Like it's not taking away from my hobbies, my connections, my personal relationships and all that stuff. But when it comes to productivity, how I manage travel and running my businesses, I always try to set schedules in a way where my Tuesdays and my Fridays are usually always free. So those are my anything days. If I want to catch a flight that day, I'll catch a flight that day. Or if I just do want to work that day because I'm really busy, I'll happen to do that. Or if I want to explore a city, go on a hike, Tuesdays and Fridays are awesome days for that. But Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays are like my non-negotiable work days. And I feel like as entrepreneurs, we're always inclined to work, even though we're not, I guess, traditionally supposed to be working in like, let's say a 9 to 5 sense. So it's not uncommon for us to work on weekends. But again, I do enjoy my work. If I'm like, let's say I've got nothing happening on a Sunday, like, let's say my friends cancel plans, I'm more than happy to just sit down and work. Or let's say I go to a cafe.
I know.
I'm
it's
happy
a
to
good
sit down
and
with my
bad thing
laptop.
though.
Yeah.
My laptop's my best friend traveling and I'm like, I'm bored. I'll just work a little more. And so it's good and bad in some way. I feel that a lot.
Yeah.
But see,
There's
I
always
feel like
pros
it's a
and cons.
balance.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people say that, but the fact that I have that, I guess, structure to run my own businesses.
Yes.
There are days I could just be like, hey, I don't want to work today. I don't have meetings. Let me just go to this museum I wanted to go to for a while.
It ebbs and flows, right?
Yeah.
Because you can
Yeah.
definitely push it more times. And I think I've treated at times like my YouTube and my own content creation as I'm a client of myself. I can think I can speak for Shandy. She trains herself. She makes time to train herself as a client of herself. Like it's fitting in however your mindset shifts around it. But we want to jump a little bit and talk about travel. We're going back to the beginning. Anything exciting in the future happening for you travel-wise that you want to tell people about?
So I just came back from like a long 10-month trip across 12 different countries. So when I got back to Canada, I don't think I want to travel for a while. I just want to enjoy the summer here. However, as anyone who reaches home after a lot of travel, it's just like, that craving kicks in a little bit.
However,
Yeah.
we can't sit still for too long and it gets boring.
You start noticing messages for like, or stories that people put up being like, hey, is anyone looking, does anyone know anyone who's subletting an apartment in Toronto for 1 month? And like when I read messages like that, I was like, wait, I could be subletting mine. Like I could be doing this. And I was like, you know what? Latin America does sound kind of nice. Like I do want to be like, those kind of ideas are running through my head. I won't be surprised if I land up somewhere in October or something like that. I think a big trip in general, I feel like every December, January, I try to spend in India. So yeah, I love spending the holiday season with my family. So I think I will definitely go back to India around December. And then in Feb, I have signed up for the next Nomad cruise that is happening from Singapore to Hong Kong, which is going to be an awesome experience. So
Yeah.
I feel like before and after is going to be like a Southeast Asian, I guess, early 2026.
Yeah.
And I feel like that is one travel plan that's set. So there's going to be India, there's going to be Singapore, Philippines, Brunei, and Hong Kong coming up.
Some Brazil, maybe? There's a really cool nomadic community in Pipa. I've never been, but I know of many friends.
I've heard Brazil, Argentina have been really high up on my list. So
I'm worried if I go to Brazil, I won't come back. So I'm just procrastinating.
So every Brazilian person I met is so sweet, and they were always like,
it's a
Brazil. I was like, I
problem.
want to go. I feel like it's going to be one of those impulsive decisions where like 3 weeks from now, I was like, oh, I booked a flight in 2 weeks. Like I'm going to go soon. So
Oh
Yeah.
like
We'll
me,
see.
I just booked a flight in
4
to
days
go
ago.
in 3
Also,
weeks. Whoops.
Yeah.
that
Okay,
The
happens.
life of a nomad.
Oh, yeah,
Nomad.
it's so cool. Niv, this conversation has been so lovely, and I feel like we have so much more to gather with you. Where can people follow you? We touched that so briefly that you have a travel blog, but if people want to connect with you online, plug all your businesses, platforms, projects, tell us.
Oof. So the travel blog is niv.travel. It's really easy. Managed to snag a cool domain. But for Instagram, it's Niv Travels, NIV Travels. And if you go there, I've got Supercharged and Nomad WildHeart's links in my bio. So I think let's keep it easy and short over that.
Amazing.
Okay, cool.
Amazing.
Well, thank you everyone for listening to this episode. Thank you, Niv, for being here. We are the Where She Builds podcast. You can find us on YouTube, Spotify, wherever else you listen to podcasts. I'm Anna at your travel friend Anna, or joined always by Shandy at Coach Shandy, and we will catch you in the next episode. Ciao for now.
See you next time.
Thank you for having me.